shout out and a thank you to my sponsor, P2 Collectibles, located at 204 East McGalliard Road in Muncie and on eBay as well. So next time you're here in Muncie, let us know. Come give us a visit. Hey, what is up, y'all? This is Alex from Plus3 TCG, and I'm coming at y'all with a deck profile today, and we are going to be looking at the Weather Painters. It's a fairly new deck. Not a lot of people have been playing this because it kind of has some wonky rulings. They tag out as, well, I guess I say tag out because it reminds me a lot of Cosmos, but they banish themselves as cost according to whatever continuous spell or continuous weather trap that they have in either their direct column or their adjacent column. So we're just going to explain some of these card effects and get you a little more familiar with the deck. So without further ado, let's hop right in. We are playing 3 Weather Painters Snow. This is one of the most important cards to see. This is the most important card to see because this is your only normal summon that really matters, because when this card is normal summon, you can place 1 Weather Painter spell or trap from your deck face up in your spell trap zone. Now all of the Weather Painters have a similar effect, not that one, but they all have a similar effect where during the standby phase, once per turn, after the turn that they are banished by a Weather Painter card, and they have to be banished from the field. So Macrocosmos doesn't work as well, Defissure doesn't work as well because they can't summon themselves back because they wouldn't be banished by a Weather Painter card. So the following turn after they are banished by a Weather Painter card, they can special summon themselves back. So it's cool being able to utilize the different spell and traps at your will. Then we are playing 2 Weather Painter Thunder, same thing, standby effect where it gets a tag back in the following standby phase after it's banished. And then you can send 1 face-up continuous spell or trap you control to the graveyard, any continuous spell or trap, and then place 1 weather spell or trap from your deck face up in your spell and trap zones. Then we're playing 2 Weather Painter Cloud. This card allows a little bit of recyclability. If another face-up Weather Painter card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can target up to 2 Weather Painter spell or traps from your graveyard and place them face up in your spell trap zone. So if you lose something like the trap, which is probably one of the most important defensive cards that you have, if you lose something like the trap, you can recycle it with this card. Then we have the Weather Painter Sun. This card is a little less relevant because it has a wonky graveyard effect, but if it is in the graveyard, you can send 1 face-up continuous spell trap card you control to the graveyard, special summon this card in defense position, and if you do, place a weather spell trap card from your hand face up in your spell trap zone. So this requires you to have something in your hand, a Weather Painter or weather spell or trap in your hand, and that is a little less than ideal because really this is most effectively used with the trap, and since you're only playing 2 of the trap, it's not as effective. Same thing with the Weather Painter Rain. So we're only playing one sun, 1 rain. If this card is special summon, you can place 1 Weather Painter, or 1, I keep calling them Weather Painter spell. You can place 1 the Weather spell trap card from your hand face up in your spell trap zone. So it's very similar to Sun's effect, and I'm really not sure which one is better. This one seems to have a little more utility, but this one has a live grave effect. So pick your poison, I guess. I don't know if either of them are that good, so I'm trying 1 of each. That is the Weather Painter lineup. You can play the level 5, or I think it's level 5 or level 6 dark type, which requires you to normal summon it, but it is a snow on steroids, where when it's normal summon, you can place a Weather Painter spell or trap from your deck, hand, or graveyard face up on the field, and that's pretty cool, and you can set that up for a following turn, but I don't think it's as good because it really requires you to have something you can normal summon. And that is why we play Ice Bell, because our normal summon count is so high that we want to play something that is strong, that can essentially summon itself and make a strong monster. So why not play 3 Ice Bell, 2 Glass Bell, and a Snow Bell? Very standard Wind Witch package, because I feel like when you make Crystal Wing with this, it allows for a much more stable board, considering that this deck needs a lot of setup. If that setup is interrupted at all, it becomes quite a problem. So Crystal Wing helps mitigate that. As well as some battle monsters. Eater of Millions. I played 3 of these because the extra deck in this deck is absolutely worthless. You do not need it. at all, because even making their boss monster, the Weather Painter Rainbow, to make that effectively where you have it at pointing to at least one Weather Painter is pretty much impossible, because you need three Weather Painter monsters to make it, and it's just not as ideal. So that's why we're playing some other engines in the deck to help this able to set up better. And then we're playing 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Ogre, and 1 Maxi. You can very easily replace these with the Droll and Lockbirds, but I chose to go for Ghost Ogre for more of the generic plays. But you can choose to play Droll. That is the monster lineup. Onto the spells, the Weather Snowy canvas. This is probably another one of your best ones. You're almost always searching with or placing from your deck to your field with snow. The cool things about these is the weather effect monsters in your main monster zone. The weather effect monsters, your main monster zones of this card column and its adjacent column gain this effect. So if you have a weather monster in this direct column, or it's adjacent, so it is diagonal to it, you gain some effects. In this case, you can banish this card, quick effect, and all of the spell and traps have that. You can add 1 weather card from your deck to your hand, but you can only control 1 of these, so you can't control multiple canvas, and that's alright because they're all pretty strong. And we're playing 2 Cloudy Canvas. Same thing. You can banish the card that this thing is in adjacent or direct under column, and then this allows you to target a face-up monster on the field, except during damage step, and have its current attack for the rest of the turn, but it can attack directly. But for the most part, you're not using it on your own monsters, you're using it on your opponents so that they have low attack, and you're already going to be probably tagging out to where you don't have a field, so you can protect them for next turn. So this just allows a little less damage, and this allows for some back row control. This allows you to banish as cost, target a spell or trap your opponent controls, and then return it to the hand. That's pretty cool. You're able to play around Solemn, so if your opponent sets like a full back row during their turn, during their end phase, you bounce one of them back, or you can potentially bounce 2 depending on how many weathery, or yeah, I keep calling them weather because that was their OCG name. Depending on how many painters you control, you can potentially bounce back their whole back row on their end phase with this card, which is pretty good. But if that doesn't work, we have 2 Twin Twister to make sure that those back row are gone the following turn. And then to get into all of our stuff, we're playing 3 Pot of Desires. This is pretty awesome considering that we are playing a lot of cards that are either 2 ofs or 3 ofs, so this just helps you get there. That is the spells. And then for the traps, we're playing 2 Thundery Canvas. This card is insane. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish this card as cost and then return that opponent's monster to the hand, non-targeting. So if you have multiple weathery in your monster zones that are in this column or adjacent to this card, you essentially can clear your opponent's whole board. It's really nice. Then you just get your whole board back on the standby phase. And then to round off the traps, we're playing 2 Solemn Strike and Solemn Warning. Just more ability to negate your opponent's stuff. And in an ideal situation where you would have all 4 of your canvases face up on the field, this is just for the spot that is open, allowing for a little more field control. Onto the worthless extra deck. Playing 2 Rainbow. This card absolutely never comes up, but when it does, it's kind of cool to make. But for the most part, it's just Black Horn of Heaven. Negates summons. 1 Akashic Magician. Also, I've never once made this card just because it's less than ideal to put your stuff into the grave. You really want to just maintain the board with your main deck monsters, but Akashic gets over problem cards, I guess. Decode Talker, you will never make this card, but it's something to, I guess, send with Eater of Millions. 2 Crystal Wing, because this card is happening a lot, and then 1 Clear Wing. The 2 is very unnecessary. You're usually only making 1. And the rank 3s, I play 1 Break Sword. Like I said, none of this is really relevant. Super Quant for the back row removal, Engineer. I guess this could be probably a Acid Golem, but to keep it real, I have an Acid Golem, I can't find it, so to be continued. Nightmare Shark, pretty good, I guess, but never ever happens. Giga Brilliant for the Corbage, and then Corbage can be overlaid with Gaia, so some piercing damage, and then Downward for if you have another rank 3 face up and you can just do it in main phase 2. But for the most part, all of this is worthless, and it is strictly for Eater of Millions, so that you can summon that very easily. But for the most part, the deck is very fun. It needs a lot of tech cards because the engine alone isn't enough. I guess if you wanted to play pure, you could play things like Drowning Mirror Force, so that when your field is clear, you can spin all your opponent's stuff back when they go in for the direct attack. But all in all, this version of the deck has been doing me well. I've been testing with it a little bit, and I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. Let me know what you think about the deck in the comments section below. And this is Alex from +3 TCG signing out, y'all.